"Hello, wife." Anne bowed again, her mind racing. Her brother had warned her to make this work, adding that what he would do to her for failing was far worse than anything Henry might attempt. And so she smiled, politely, endlessly, even though she still didn't quite know who half the people were. That night, Henry entered her chambers, stared at her awkward curtsy, and promptly lost the will to continue. "Good night, wife." He kissed her forehead like she was a visiting nun and walked out. The next morning he stormed to Cromwell, who wisely stood very still. "Cromwell, this marriage is your doing. Do not think I lack the strength to correct your mistakes." Cromwell kept his face blank, mostly because any expression might have earned him a slap, a punch, or possibly being kicked down a staircase. Weeks passed, then months, and Anne tried, desperately, to please him. She flattered him constantly, usually through her German-speaking ladies, who translated things like, "His Majesty is the greatest man who ever lived, much handsomer than the portraits." Her German-speaking ladies whispered that she was overdoing it, and whispered back that she was trying not to die. Meanwhile, the Seymour brothers appeared at court, and Anne quickly became aware that Englishmen were bold. "Brother, is it treason to admire the Queen?" "Yes, and if you stare any harder, you'll lose your head before Cromwell does. Stop before you ruin all our futures." "I'm just saying, Edward, if she ever—" "Finish that sentence and I will finish you." Luckily for Thomas, Henry was far too distracted by something, or rather someone else, a young lady-in-waiting named Catherine Howard, who had perfected the art of appearing innocent while sitting directly on the king's lap. "Ah, Catherine, you lift my spirits." Anne once walked in on them. She bowed, smiled, and left as though she had merely stumbled into a broom closet. Henry was delighted. A wife who didn't complain? A miracle, a blessing, a gift from God. Anne, however, was terrified. Every time she saw Catherine perched on Henry like a decorative cat, she remembered her brother's warning: fail in this marriage and suffer. Finally, after 6 months of avoiding her, Henry decided the marriage could not stand. When the council informed Anne of the annulment, she fainted so hard half the ladies assumed she'd died on the spot. When she awoke, she began praising Henry with a force only fear could generate. She declared, through trembling translators, that Henry was the best husband alive, the love of her life, a man too perfect for her humble self. She insisted she had never been worthy of such majesty and thanked God for having experienced even one day as his wife. Did she truly say that? Well, she is a wise woman. Henry practically glowed. He couldn't believe it. A wife who adored him, flattered him, obeyed him, praised him, and instantly agreed to leave him. It was everything he wanted in a marriage, except the marriage part. Yes, annulment is clearly best for her. Poor dear loves me too much. And so Anne was sent off with a generous settlement, a new title, and more freedom than she'd ever had in Cleves. Compared to what her brother would have done to her, Henry had been a vacation. The king rode off to marry Catherine Howard, thrilled, triumphant, and entirely convinced that the entire saga had ended because of his irresistible charm, not because Anne was simply determined to survive.